upstairs in Special Collections in the Andrew Wall Centre for the Study of African and Asian Christianity, and this is where we keep the microfilm reader to help you read microfiche and microfilm from the collections. So I'm going to show you how to put on one of the reels to look at. Put a switch on. So here we have one of the reels, just getting it out of its storage box. There's always a paper wrapped round to protect it and keep it together. So we unravel that, and here we have the film. Now, always at the beginning there'll be no images, so that you've got some length in which to handle it without damaging the content. So we've got, this is the lens that we need, and this is the lens for the microfilms, and then this is the part of the equipment that we need to put the film on. So here we have, this is where we hook the film, make it click, there we go, and then we can lock it. And this is set to the top button here, so this is the image that we want to replicate. So this gives you an indication of how you thread the film over the little runners here. I don't know if you can see that. So it's over the top of the first one and then under the second one. So there's the first one, so we go over the top of that one and then thread underneath the bottom one. Then you push forward. So once you've threaded it over the wheels, just put it over to the reel at the other side, which as you're using it will reel onto, and you need to feed it underneath. To do that, you can just turn the wheel by hand. What you want to do is to be able to catch the end of the film, if you can see that, to be able to put it flat against the reel under this arm, which will keep it nicely coiled, like so. So once you've managed to do that, and it is a little bit of a fiddle, but someone can always help you to do this bit. So once you've got it underneath this holding arm, you can then use the directional button here to wind on the reel until you see the beginning of the image on the bottom here. This is the button here where for direction, so to the right clockwise is forwards. If you need to go back to look at something, you go anti-clockwise to the left, and the further round you go, the faster it is. So when you get to the very end of the reel and you want to wind it back onto the original holding reel, then you can whiz it really quite quickly. But I'm going to look for the first image. Can we get hold of that? You can see it just here on the bottom. Now you need to push this front bit back underneath the lens so that it can be magnified onto the screen. It's worth just taking the lens out to show you a couple of the features for fine tuning. So here we have these two. These are the movable elements for focusing the image through the lens. So this is what I'm adjusting. You won't be able to see that when it's in situ quite so well, but that's what I'm moving to focus the image. This knob here turns, adjusts the light underneath the lens, underneath the bed of the lens there, so underneath the image. So you can alter this and it highlights certain areas underneath. So sometimes if it's in, it's quite poor quality, you can focus the light on certain areas just to pinpoint something. I tend to find if I leave it on this one though, you get a general all over brightness on the whole of the image. So here we are at the start. So we'll fast forward to something that looks a bit more like the information contained. Reel 81, here we go. Here's all the makers of the microfiche. Here we have contents of the reels as well. So this one we have West Africa Mission, Sierra Leone, original papers. So the original papers of missionaries Miss Annie Framuth. So let's have a look. So as you can see, very small, quite dark. The quality of the items when they were micro-photographed can be quite poor, so it is very difficult sometimes to read the images. So this is where we want to adjust the image to be able to see as much of it as possible. So to start with, there is a circular knob underneath the part of the actual screen, and that tilts it. So if you wanted to read landscape, you can change it whichever way around you want to go. Okay. Secondly, I'm now adjusting those wheels on the lens, and the first one can make the image larger, so get closer to the image like so, and so you can fill up as much of the space as possible, and there's markings on the screen to indicate where this image will be captured when it comes to using software to get it onto the PC as a PDF, but we'll come on to that in a little while. And then the bottom wheel is the fine tuner, and so if we turn that, you can see we're getting the actual text, the handwriting, into better focus, and I can actually see the word Liverpool, Council at Liverpool, which is very interesting. So here we have the image now, and you can be reading this, making notes. Often there's a lot of manoeuvring to try and find the information that you're after, in which case you would forward on to the next one and do the same. You need to line it up so that it fits the page. We'll do one side at a time, so then we'll do this. As you can see, it is quite dark. What is useful is that we can capture these images onto the PC and then save it as a PDF file, which then you can manipulate at home on your PC, so that you can zoom in and zoom out to be able to decipher some of the handwriting that can be quite difficult to read. In that way also you'll be able to gather your information and save it on a pen drive that you can then take home and pore over, which may take quite a long time to transcribe the material that you're after. So now we'll take a look at how we capture this image as a PDF document that you can take away with you. I don't have a pen drive, but anybody using the machine who wants to take material away with them needs to provide their own pen drive. As it is today, I can just save it to the desktop. So to run the software, we have Capture Perfect on the desktop. We click on that, open that up, and this is the software dedicated to reading images from the scanner, the reader. So if you want to do a single item, you would choose File, scan to page, and that just does a single item, and as you can see now, it'll sounds very much like it's photocopying it, and it'll bring it up onto the screen here, your photocopied version. If we save that now, just give it a file name, save it on the desktop. If we now open that up, we can see this is our image, and we can zoom in to be able to decipher the text, better able to read the handwriting, which can be very difficult. If you want to capture more than one image, which is a very reasonable assumption, what you would do is you choose File and Scan to Batch. Again, give it a file name before you begin this time, onto the desktop, save. And then you have a choice of start scanning or stop scanning. So to start, obviously start scanning, and it'll do the first page for you. And there we have it, and then we move on to the next page that we want to scan, and click on Continue Scanning. Move on to a third page, just for demonstration purposes. Onto the third page. And there we have it. And then we have the option, if that's as much as we want to copy, we stop scanning, and then that saves it as completes the file, the PDF file, file 2. There we go. So if we open that up, we can see we have multiple pages in one document. It's very, I have to say, this is very poor quality, but it can only be as good as the original that was micro photographed. So once you've finished with a reel, just rewind all the way to the beginning. Will naturally just come right to the end, and as you can see, we can just lift that off now, just tighten up the end and put the protective card around it, and okay, wrap that round so it's secure, and put it back into its box. Now I'm going to show you how to use the microfiche, and this, here we have a small selection, is where the micro photography is on individual sheets rather than the reel. For this we need to change the lens, so I'll take that one out, and here we have another one. They look identical. You would know if you'd got the wrong lens because you wouldn't be able to focus it properly. Okay, now for this we roll back the roll carrier, and we're going to use this flatbed. So here we lift up this protective glass screen to put the fiche in. Now this is a little bit of trial and error. I can never remember which way around it is. So here you have your fiche, and we'll have a go at putting it in downside. You put it under there and put the glass plate on top, and then move it under and as you can see it's upside down, so that's not quite right. So I'll try again. This is where eventually you get it right. So you turn it over and make it so that you can read it. And here we go. There we are, that's better. And now we can read it there. Gambia minutes, March the 9th, 1812. So in order to operate this, you just have to move the glass plate across and read it from left to right, top to bottom. So there you have one, moving it across. Again, you can focus in, so you can make it a little bit bigger, for example, and then refocus. Like so. And you can use the Capture Perfect software again with this to capture the images. When you finish with one sheet, put it to one side, lift up, take it out, put it back in its wallet and put it back into the exact place that you got it. You can use little markers so that you know whereabouts you've got your fiche from, to know which is the next one, but they are also numbered on each one. So here we are, here's the next one.